Hey guys, this is the TI84 guy. Today is August 27th, and I wanted to demo a program that I originally had meant to demo last week, but yesterday the SAT was given. I had a couple students who I was helping to prepare for that, so last week, last minute prep, got a little hectic, was pretty busy. So I didn't get an opportunity to put out the video that demonstrates the program that I wanted to show. So I'm going to take today and actually do that. So that's what this video is about. Also, I'm going to go over 13 problems taken from practice tests. And some of the problems are pretty simple. You don't really need a program or a calculator for, but I just want to demonstrate how you would use the program. So even though they're easy, I want to show you how you would use it, and then when you get to more complicated ones, you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so this question is taken from a practice test number 5, and it says, okay, we've got a table of values here. Tells you that it's a linear function, and they want you to come up with the equation. Okay, it's really easy. When you increase x by 2, f of x goes up by 8, so the slope is going to be 8 divided by 2, which is 4, so you would choose C. But I wanted to show you how you would use the program to get that same result. So press enter, turn it on. Okay, go to programs. Now I call it A linear, and it deals with linear functions, and I put an A in front of it so it comes up. It's one of the first programs in the list, and you don't have to go searching for it. So choose that, enter, press enter again, and then you're going to see it has 5 options. If you know 2 points, do you know an equation? Do you know the point and the slope? Is it going to be a proportion, or are you doing a linear regression? All right, so in this case, we know 2 points, so we're going to choose 2 points. So one of the points is going to be 1, 5. One of the points is going to be 3, 13. And then we want the equation. You have 4 options here. You can figure out the equation. You can solve for y, given that you know x. You can solve for x, given that you know y. Or we can come up with the x-intercept. In this case, we want the equation. So it tells you that the slope is 4, the y-intercept is 1. So as we already saw, it's going to be choice C. All right, so that's how you would use it. 2 points. All right, here's another one. This one is also from practice test number 5, and it gives you a table of values just like the last one gave you a table of values, but this one is not so easy to figure out what the equation would be just looking at these numbers, okay? But that's what we need to do. It says the relationship between the monthly rental price, R, in dollars, and the property purchase price, P, in thousands of dollars can be represented by a linear function. What's the linear equation? So now we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to take, press enter. Let me get this in here. And basically we're going to look at these we're going to look at the table of values. It's going to be 2 points. So we're going to use, since the purchase price is in thousands of dollars, all we need to do is enter the first 3 numbers. So it's going to be 128. The Y value is 950. And then we're going to do 176. And the y value is 1310. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the equation. So it says the equation, the slope is going to be 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. The y-intercept is going to be a negative 10. And if you look, you'll see that's choice D. Now, real quick, whenever the program generates the equation, finds the slope, it will always store the equation in y1. So you can see here that the equation is going to be 7.5x minus 10, which is what matches here. Okay, let's go on. Now, here's another question. This one comes from the practice test number 8, and it's number 29 question. Okay, so it says, let me get out of here, clear. All right, so it says a photocopy machine is initially loaded with 5,000 sheets of paper. The machine starts a large job and copies at a constant rate. After 20 minutes, it has used 30% of the paper. Which of the following equations models the number of sheets of paper P remaining in the machine in minutes after the machine started printing? So now, if you look at this, you should know, because of these words here, constant rate, that we're dealing with a linear equation. So that means that C and D, which are exponential, both exponential equations, don't work. We can't use it, okay? So now, let's focus on these two. So now, what we're going to do, press enter, and we're going to use 2 points again. And the 2 points are, at 0 minutes, when we initially load it, we have 5,000 sheets of paper. Now, after 20 minutes, we have 30% fewer sheets of paper. So another way of writing that is going 0.7 times 5,000. Oops, one too many zeros. All right, so then you press enter. We want the equation. Tells you that the slope is a -75 and the y-intercept is 5,000. So that would be choice B. Okay, we're done. Okay. So that's using 2 points. Now I have one more example for 2 points I wanted to show. This one comes from practice test number 3. Let's see here. It says, in the xy plane, the line determined by the points 2, k and k, 32 passes through the origin. Which of the following could be the value of k? All right, so now this is 2 points, but the points have variables in it. So we need to figure out what the variable is. We can still use the program. Okay, so it's going to be 2 points. So we're going to choose option 1 again. X is 2. And y1 is going to be x. Okay, so the variable is actually k, but the program only recognizes x. So we're going to put x in there. And then for x2, we're going to put x again. And then we're going to put in 32. And then it's going to say, okay, you have a variable. You need to give me either the slope or you need to give me a third point. In this case, we know the third point because it says it goes through the origin. So that means the third point is going to be 0, 0. Press enter and it's going to make a guess. Choose one of the options here. Doesn't matter what you choose, but you know that this is going to be one of the answers. So let's stick to that. All right, so it says here that the k value is going to be 8. So the answer for this one would be C. All right, so that's how you would use 2 points, and it can handle numbers as well as variables, okay? So we're going to go to the next piece here. All right, now, this one was taken from the practice test number 1, and it's a question number 10. It gives us this equation here, right? And you should know, like, right away that this is a linear equation. The A would be the y value, the t would be the x value, 1.08 is the slope, 1052 would be the y-intercept. But let's read this. It says the speed of sound of a sound wave in air depends on the air temperature. The formula above shows a relationship between A, the speed of a sound wave in feet per second, and T, the air temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So this is a linear relationship. Now we're going to be looking at this question actually. Number 10, it says, at which of the following air temperatures will the speed of sound be closest to 1,000 feet per second? So 1,000 feet per second is the y value, and they want to know the corresponding x value. So this is what we're going to do. Let's go back to the original equation. We're going to use our program again because it's a linear equation, but in this case, they gave us an equation. So we're going to use it, okay? And it's in y-intercept form, so we're going to choose 1. And the slope is 1.08. The b value is 1,000, or the y-intercept is 1,052. Okay, and then we are going to solve because they gave us the y value of 1,000 feet. So we're going to use that information and come up with x. So we're going to choose option 3. We're going to put in 1,000. And then we're going to press enter. And it says that the temperature, or x, is going to be a negative 48.1481481.5. All right. So if you look at the answer choices, the closest answer choice would be a negative 48 here. So the answer would be B. Okay. So that's how you would use it for equations. I have one more example that shows you how you would use the equation piece. So let me move this up. All right. This one is taken. This question is number 35. And it was taken from practice test number 6. So what it says is the line, again, a linear equation with the equation 4 fits x plus 1/3 y equals 1 is graphed in the xy plane. What is the x-coordinate of the x-intercept? So we want to find the x-coordinate of the x-intercept, or the x value. All right, so let's use this again. We've been given an equation, so we choose that. In this case, it's in the standard form. So we would say a is going to be 4 divided by 5, b is going to be 1 divided by 3, and c is going to be 1. And then we're looking for the x-intercept, so we would choose option 4. So it says the x-intercept is going to be 1.25. This is a grid-in problem, so you would grid in 1.25 when we keep it moving. All right, so first two things that I've showed you, we've done 2 points, some examples that show you 2 points. We've done a couple examples that shows you how to use equation. Now I'm going to show you how you would use point in a slope. All right, so this question here was taken from practice test number 5. It's number 28, and let me see if I can get it in here so that we can read it pretty clearly. All right, it says the graph of a linear function f shown above. The slope of the graph of the linear function g, which is not shown, is 4 times the slope of the graph of f. If the graph of g passes through the point 0 and -4, what is the value of g sub 9? Let's see here if I can get that in here so that everyone can see what we're doing. All right, so now in this case, we know that we're trying to find g sub 9, so the function g goes through the point 0, -4, and we also know the slope because it's 4 times whatever this slope is. So in this case, we're going to be using option 3. All right, but before we can use option 3, we need to come up with the slope of this line. So in this case, we could rise 1 and run 2. So the slope would be a positive 1/2. All right, so now we need to enter one of the points. The point that we know is going to be 0 and -4. And then it's going to say, what's the slope that you know? In this case, it's going to be 4 times as great as the slope of f, which is 1/2. All right, and then we press enter. And what we're looking for is the y value when x is 9. So we're going to choose option 2, and the x value is 9. And so the y value is going to be 14. So the answer for this one would be C, 14. Okay? So that's when you know a point and the slope. You know the slope and you know a point on the line. Then you can come up with the equation or figure out whatever else you need to figure out. Here's another example. This one was taken from the practice test number 2. It gives you a square, and we're trying to find the equation of the other diagonal that also passes through E. So let me get this in here and we'll read this real quick. It says, let me see if I can get this in and keep it clear. All right, it says in the xy plane above, ABCD is a square, and the point E is the center of the square. The coordinates of point C and E are 7, 2, and 1, 0, respectively. Which of the following is an equation of the line that passes through points B and D? All right, so in order for us to find the equation that goes from B to D, we need to know the slope of this. Once we know the slope of this, we know this it's going to be a negative reciprocal, since the diagonals are always the diagonals of a square will always be perpendicular. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use these 2 points to find the slope of the first diagonal. So we're going to say 2 points, and then we're going to go 7, 2, 1, 0. So the slope is 1/3. So that means the slope of the other diagonal is going to be a -3. So now that we know the slope is a -3, we also know the coordinates for this point. So we can go back and we can use option 3 again, a point and the slope. So the point is going to be 1, 0, and the slope is going to be a -3. All right, now what are we looking for? We're looking for the equation. All right, so let's look at the choices that we have. So now we're just going to choose option 1. It tells you that the slope is a -3 and the y-intercept is 3. So if you look at it, the only one that has a slope of a -3 and a y-intercept of a +3 would be this one. Of course, you would have to distribute the -3, but that's the only one that works. Okay, so now that was how you would use the option of point and slope. Now we're moving to another common kind of problem that shows up on the SAT. This one was taken from practice test 5. It's a number 3. Now this is just a proportion, a direct proportion. All right. Now most of you, if not all of you, can set up a proportion and solve it. So this is one of those examples that you don't really need a calculator, but I just want to demo the functionality of the program that I've written. Okay, let's read this. It says, to make a bakery's signature chocolate muffins, a baker needs 2.5 ounces of chocolate for each muffin. How many pounds of chocolate are needed to make 48 signature chocolate muffins? And then they give you this conversion. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. I put a check here because generally whenever they give you a conversion, that means that you're dealing with a proportion. And that also means that you're probably dealing with a linear function. So let's use that. So here I've set up a proportion. 2.5 ounces gives us 1 muffin. So we want to know how many pounds of chocolate are needed to make 48 muffins. Now, pounds or ounces and pounds, we need to convert it. We need to convert this to pounds. So let me show you how I would do that. Let me get this set up over here. And we're going to go, okay. So now, press enter. We're going to choose option 4, proportion. Okay, and X is going to be 2.5. Now, I'm going to convert that to pounds. And the way that I'm going to do that is by dividing by 16. Okay, so now that's 2.5 divided by 16 pounds. And that would yield 1 chocolate muffin. And now we want to say how many pounds, and so where the how many is, we're going to put an X. Do we need to make 48 chocolate muffins? So you press enter, and it tells you that you need 7.5 pounds of chocolate, and we're done. Okay. Now you didn't have to divide by 16. You could have gotten the result and then taken the result and divided that by 16. But I just included it in here because I think it's quicker. So that's one of the things. So here's another one. This one is taken from practice test number 3. It's number 19. And it says, graphene, which is used in the manufacture of integrated circuits, is so thin that a sheet weighing 1 ounce can cover up to 7 football fields. If a football field has an area of approximately 1 1/3 acres, how many acres could 48 ounces of graphene cover? Okay, so let me show you how I would do this. I've kind of set up the proportion. So 1 ounce of graphene covers 7 times 1 1/3 acres. So 48 ounces is going to cover how many acres? That's what we're trying to find out here. So now we can go back. Let me move this over. We're going to set up our proportion. So we're going to press enter. We're going to go down to option 4. And now we're going to put in 1 ounce. And then we're going to put in 7. And watch what I do here. I'm going to go 7 times parentheses 1 plus 1 divided by 3. Because that's how, this is the 7 acres of, this is 1 1/3 acres. And there's 7 football fields. So it's 7 times that number. And now we're going to go to the next one. And it's going to be, what if we had 48 ounces of graphene? How many acres are we going to cover? So X is going to be, the number of acres is going to be 448. We're looking for the one that's closest, so it would be choice C. So again, proportions. We can use this for proportions. Now, here's something that I want to make sure is really clear. This next example is taken from the Math Level 2 subject test, Math Level 1 and 2 test. And because I wanted to show you how flexible the proportion piece is. So here, let me see if I can get this all in the screen. It says here, this is number 44 from a Math Level 2 exam, practice exam. It says, the radius of the base of a right circular cone is 6, and the radius of the parallel cross-section is 4. If the distance between the base and the cross-section is 8, what is the height of the cone? So here, I've tried to draw this. So it says, here's a right circular cone. The base has a radius of 6. 8 units up, we have another cross section, and the radius of that cross section is 4. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the height of the cone. Now, you should know that because these are both right angles, that these two triangles are going to be similar. And similar triangles are proportional. The sides are proportional. So if they're proportional, then that means that we've got a linear, potentially a linear function here, which is why we can use this. Now, here's how I've set it up. The radius of the smaller one, 4, divided by the radius of the bigger one equals h, the height, minus 8, gives you this, the length here, and then we have the height of the bigger one. So what we would do here is we'd go back, press enter. We're going to choose option 4, and x is going to be 4, y1 is going to be 6, and then we're going to have x minus 8, because remember we can only use x for the variable, and then for y2 it's going to be x all together, and then we're going to press enter, and it tells us that x is going to be 24. So that means that the height of the entire cone, or the bigger cone, is going to be 24. So that's your answer, and that's how you use proportion, and it can handle variables as well. So that's what I want everyone to see. Okay, here's the last thing that I want to do, and then I'm done. This one was taken from practice test 5, and they've given us a scatter plot, and what we're trying to do is we're going to try to find the slope of the scatter plot and use that information to determine what the growth factor is. Okay, so now let me read it first. It says the scatter plot above gives the tree diameter plotted against the age for 26 trees of a single species. The growth factor of this species is closest to that of which of the following species of trees, and we've given 4 trees here. The last one is, I've never heard of it, shagbark hickory. But here's the thing that I wanted to show. Now, scatter plots and trying to use this option, it doesn't occur very often. But I wanted to at least include this in the event that you needed to come up with the linear equation. So we're going to choose option 5 for this. Now, we have 26 data points here, but we're not going to try to enter 25 data or 26 data points. That would just take too long. So I'm saying, why don't we choose 5 and see if we can still come up with the slope and then compare that. All right, so here we're going to choose 5 points, and we're going to enter the x and y coordinates. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to say, how about this one right here? So that'll be, let's say, about 11.880. So I'm going to say 11.8, and the y coordinate would be 80. And then let's go to, let's go over here. Let's say about 12.5, and it's a little short of 90, but okay, so we'll say 12.5. Like 89, and then let's go over here to 13, go up, let's see, let me get a nice point here. So let's say 13.4 and 90. These are approximates. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's go over here to 14. Let's see, we go up 14, and it looks like it's about 100. So we're going to go 14 and about 100. And then we got one more that we need. Let's come over here to 15, and we'll go up to about 103. So we'll say 15. Now you can see I'm just kind of guesstimating, but I'm trying to make it reasonable. And then it's done. So we've entered 5 points. You can choose to enter fewer points or more points. You have to enter at least a minimum of 2, and there's 26 here. You can choose whatever ones you want to use, but it kind of makes a difference. You want to stay away from the kind of ones that are kind of extreme. That's why I've kind of concentrated in here. So now we're going to go to y equals, and it tells us that the slope of the points that we chose is 7.082. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use, because this is a kind of a 2-part question, it gives us the growth factors. All right, and so we're looking for the growth factor that's closest to the 5 points that we chose, and the only one that's really close is the shagbark hickory, it's got a growth factor of 7.5. So in this case, I would choose, let me go back. I would choose option D. None of the other ones are close. This one has a slope of about 7.1. The shagbark is about 7.5.